Welcome back to What He Makes. My name is Callie, and today I'm so excited to share with you my pumpkin spice cake, my pumpkin cake, whatever you want to call it. It is completely out of this world. It is so delicious. This is the kind of dessert that could go on your holiday table, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever you want, or you could just make it during, the fall, autumn, winter season, if you like. It is just so good. I cannot wait to share it with you. The texture is so soft and moist and fluffy. I cannot stress that enough. The flavor, even better. I can't wait to share this recipe with you. But before we begin, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, share, chat in the comment section, and follow me on social media for more recipes and additional content. So let's get right into it. These are the ingredients that we are going to be using. We have some brown sugar, granulated sugar, flour, baking powder, baking soda. I have a little spice combination here. You can either use pre-packaged pumpkin spice, or you could, make your own. I'm using some cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, allspice, and that works as well. I have a few eggs, pure pumpkin puree, some sour cream, buttermilk, vanilla, vegetable or canola oil, salt, and that is it. And then we're gonna have a really lovely kind of cinnamon cream cheese frosting that we're gonna add later that is just to die for. You're gonna love it. So let's jump right in. The first thing that we're gonna do is combine all of our dry ingredients. And we're just gonna give this a little stir to combine, get these ingredients nice and incorporated. Okay, this looks good. So we're gonna set this aside for now, and we're gonna work on our wet ingredients, which includes both types of sugar, along with our vegetable oil. And you could tell just by the ingredients that I'm using in this recipe that this cake is going to be ultra, ultra moist. The vegetable oil, the buttermilk, the sour cream, even the pure pumpkin puree, it's all gonna add so much moisture to this dish. And I am an oil-based cake girl through and through. I know you don't see any butter in this, and to me, although butter is said to have a better flavor than vegetable oil or canola oil, which are neutral, so they don't have any flavor, the texture that you get from oils is so much better than butter, and I think it tastes just as good. So for me, it's a no-brainer. That's what I'm using in this recipe, and I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm gonna whisk this until it's combined, and then we'll proceed. Okay, this is nice and combined, and so to this, I'm going to add my eggs, and we're gonna whisk this until it is nice and creamy and combined. Okay, this is looking wonderful. So before we proceed, I'm just gonna run my spatula around the bottom and the sides of this bowl just to make sure that everything is nice and combined. All the batter is well incorporated. Okay, and so next up, I'm going to add my pumpkin and my sour cream. So we're gonna add this right on in and whisk until combined. Okay, one last, for now, scrape around the bottom and the sides. Looking good. And so next we're gonna add in our dry ingredients along with our buttermilk. Of course, we have buttermilk in this recipe. I cannot make a cake without it. Oh, and I don't want to forget my vanilla as well. So that is going in. And I will say, you're probably gonna notice that this bowl might be, oh my goodness, a little small, but that's okay. I want a clear bowl so you can kind of see what's going on better. But we're gonna make it work, even if it's almost overflowing. So buttermilk goes in. I don't wanna leave any of that behind. Okay, so this is looking nice and creamy and pretty well incorporated, but just to ensure everything is nice and well incorporated, I'm just going to, for the last time, run my spatula around the bottom and the sides of the bowl. Okay, so next I'm gonna put my batter into my pie pans. I have two 8-inch pie pans that I have very generously greased with some butter. I've sprinkled with a little bit of flour, lined with parchment paper, so you know none of the batter is going to stick in these pans, because there is nothing worse than making a cake and then not being able to get it out of the cake pan. Also, my oven is preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so get that nice and hot and preheated before you even begin cooking. So if you've ever baked a cake and and it's sunken in the middle, that's a very common mistake that happens when you're baking cakes. One of the things that could have gone wrong in that, there's a few things that could have gone wrong, but one is that your oven might not have been hot enough. So if you're either opening the oven and letting the heat escape out of the oven, that's gonna bring down the oven temperature, so don't do that. But also, not everyone's oven is the same. So your oven might say it's preheated at 350, but it might be actually quite a bit cooler than that. I live in an apartment in Chicago, and we have a very old oven, and mine is actually 50 degrees colder than what the temperature says that it is. So if I want to bake a cake at 350, I actually preheat my oven to 400 degrees. So I think if you're getting into baking, one of the best utensils you could buy is an oven thermometer. You don't need anything fancy, but that really helps to ensure that your oven is at the correct temperature, because there's a good chance it's not. So you want your oven nice and hot. And so next what we're going to do is add the batter into the pie pans, and we want to add this as evenly as possible because, you know, we want these to bake as evenly as possible. If one of them is really full and the other isn't, the time it takes to bake each of them is going to vary greatly. So what I like to do is kind of add in a little bit at a time, and then I kind of go back and add just a little bit more. Okay, these are looking good. So next what I like to do is kind of take the pan and kind of bump it on your table like that, just to kind of get rid of some of those air bubbles. Next, these are going to go into the oven at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes. I would check on your cake at around the 35-minute point. You'll know when it's done when you insert a skewer of any kind or a knife into the center and it comes out clean or with a few crumbs. That's how you're going to know that it is ready to go. After that, I will walk you through the next step, but you're going to want to take these out of the oven and let them cool at room temperature in the pan, just until the pan isn't so hot you could turn the cakes out of the pan until you're able to touch the pan. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. And in the meantime, in a little bit, we're going to prepare the frosting, which is really, really delicious, and I can't wait. So I'll see you then. Okay, so my cakes are out of the oven and they baked for exactly 40 minutes, and I'm just letting them cool off to the side. They're almost finished cooling, so at this point we're gonna work on the frosting. And so the frosting, we're gonna be using I have some half and half. You could use heavy cream, you could use milk. We have a little bit of vanilla, powdered sugar, cinnamon. Under all this mess, we have some cream cheese, unsalted butter. The butter and the cream cheese are softened to room temperature. They're very, very soft, which is very, very important. And so at this point, we're just gonna literally add all the ingredients and give it a whisk until it is nice and creamy. I'm not gonna add all of my milk just yet because I don't want it to be too watery. A quarter cup usually does the trick, but just to be sure, I add a little bit at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up and then we'll proceed. Okay, so my frosting is nice and creamy. It is so delicious. I love this frosting so much. It's so simple too. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm using a little cake stand. Not necessary, you can just keep it on a plate. It just makes icing it a little bit easier. And what we're gonna do is add the frosting. So my middle layer is added. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. And something that I've come to learn about myself is that I always put just not enough frosting in the middle section of the cake. And so I always now I try to add a little bit extra to the center of the cake, like this layer here that goes between the top and the bottom layers of the cake, because I feel like it's really important that that part of the cake has a lot of frosting, in my opinion. Okay. And as you can see, I flip my cakes upside down so that you ice the flat side of the cake like so. Okay, so let's finish this off. I'm gonna take a very large dollop of icing, add it to the top of the cake, start with the top, and then we'll work our way around the bottom. Okay, so next we're gonna work on the sides. I just add a dollop at a time on every side and just kind of run my inverted spatula around the edge of the cake like so. I do not claim to be the best cake icer, but what I do know is this cake is gonna be delicious, and that is all that matters to me. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of keep making dollops around the sides of the cake and just running my spatula along the side like so. Okay, so this cake is nice and iced and ready to go, and I can't wait to dig in. But first, I'm gonna give you a little close-up so you can see just how moist and fluffy the interior of this cake really is. Okay, so this pumpkin spice cake is all finished. I really hope that you were able to see in that close-up just how soft and moist and fluffy this cake is, and you truly will not know until you make this at home. And I'm confident that you are going to love it. It just screams fall, autumn, you know, just the holiday season, everything that I love. And yeah, so I can't wait for you to make this at home. And as always, for the full red recipe and instructions, head to my blog, moonimakes.com. I'll put the link for that in the description box below. And make this pumpkin spice cake. I promise you're gonna love it. And let me know what you think, because I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.